Welcome to Epic Experiences, where we inspire. No, we don't inspire. We encourage people, inspire communities. That's what Epic stands for. We are at episode 5. Woohoo!
Nice.
I know, right? And so with me, I have two. Last episode I talked about 3 people, 3 men who are very important and near and dear to my heart. My dad. I have my brother. Introduce yourself.
Michael Thompson.
Yep, and the third one is my husband, who I'm trying to get on. Y'all pray for me. I'm trying to get him to come on and talk about something.
Keep my man skills on here.
He don't want to. He
on the way.
said he doesn't want to, but you know.
He gonna rock it
I'm
out.
prayerful. And then finally, introduce yourself.
Jay Floyd.
All right.
Yes.
And so we are going to talk about a topic that I geek out on a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And my brother and I, Mike, always talk about it. And then Brother Jay Floyd was posting some stuff on Facebook, and I'm like, when he said, you should have me on, I'm like, this is an end. I feel like this is my say less. What about tomorrow? He was like,
Let's do it.
Yes. And so we are going to talk about the Rocky Creed anthology. That's what I'm calling it. I don't even know if anthology is the right word, but that's what feels right to me. Because I was already a Rocky fan. Enthusiast, if you will, and then when Creed came along and they made it make sense, and we'll talk about how it made sense when they brought it together. But then I said, "Oh, this is a whole new thing."
Yeah.
And so I was just excited to talk about it and to talk about it with people who are just as into it as I am. And so we're gonna hop right in and get started because there's a lot to unpack. I'm sure there are levels to this. And so we're going to tap on a lot of levels. I got some levels. Looks like you got some levels.
Always.
And you always might bring the levels.
I didn't know, but I'm glad to be a part of the conversation so that we can, see where you're coming from, see where you're coming from, and then make it all make sense.
I can already tell I like the way this dude thinks.
Okay.
So this is going to be interesting.
It is going to be amazing. And so my intro question is just, when did you know or become a Rocky fan? Like when did you? What's your first memory of Rocky?
This is easy. My mother was a huge boxing fan. Oh. My grandmother was big into wrestling. They just loved that aggression, right? So I was raised by a whole bunch of women. And my mother loved she would watch boxing, and if you showed her a black dude versus a white dude, it was on and popping.
Wow.
She would be jumping up and down. She'd be all into it. So Rocky, it was just natural. The first Rocky was set, I don't know when it came out, but it was set in 1975. I was born in 1976, so this was like my life. Like I was born right into all of my childhood was Rocky. Everything.
Yeah, so I think that, and don't kill me. I think I was able to appreciate it in Rocky 5. So and I was 79. So I was kind of like late. I had to go back and really watch it. So it wasn't really that I was growing up with Rocky. I was going back and appreciating it, and then putting the dynamic of how he came from this point to that point, but just to see him down and out, to see that he was back and back in the neighborhood and stuff like that, and which is and I ain't got too many people on my side with this. Is Rocky 5 is my favorite. So
I do got a question. Was Rocky 5 the one you first saw, or was it the one you first appreciated?
It made me appreciate all the rest of them. So of course,
but you had seen all of them.
Yeah, I seen all of them. Had seen them, but didn't get in depth with it until Rocky 5. And it's kind of like the transition from 4 to 5.
Okay.
When, he in the shower. And then, then he go, with Paulie, and then lost money and all that good stuff, whatever. And it was like, dang, this is, and then kind of like, you had to go back and look at it like, man, he kind of went from just a regular guy, then got a little some money, and then he got, then he came back down, with 5, so it really made me, when I looked at it, it kind of made me go in reverse and then go appreciate them and say like, you know what, this is a real good story of rags to riches and back to rags. Back to rags. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, it is an American story. And we can unpack some more later on. But just then find out behind the scenes on how it was made, how he came together, and you know the kind of loss that he done took with doing it. It was like, man, this is art imitating life.
Yeah, and for me, my first image or memory of Rocky is when he drank that glass of eggs. Like, and as a kid, I'm like, ew. Right, exactly.
That was a big selling point.
And so I'm like, why you do that? But that's my first memory of Rocky. And so I'm 74. And so being born in 74, Rocky.
I was gonna say you gotta clarify that.
Yeah. I was born in 1974.
Okay. You're gonna be like, man, black don't crack.
Right. They see us on YouTube like, man, I can't wait to get to 74.
So when it came out in 76, but I saw it, of course, later on when I was older. And I think after watching that scene, that was the hook for me.
Yeah.
And then from there, it was everything. Like, man, that first one, he was so eager, but it was like he couldn't catch a break. Like, he couldn't do anything right. He was just so down and out on himself. He was the muscle for the mob, but he didn't want to do that. But he wanted to do this, and this wasn't working out, and just nothing was working out for him. And it was just like, dang, this is sad.
I love that though.
Yeah.
That's kind of who he is, right? Because he wrote this movie. I love the fact that I know when I was little, it was kind of looked down on like Rocky, right? Like the whole Rocky series was like low class, low budget. Like people would look at you like that's not high cinema, fake fighting, all of that. Stallone's a bad actor. People would say all of that stuff. But being able to see it back from our age, it's like, that's a masterpiece story.
It is.
Especially for any creator, and I know we got a lot of creators out there, man. Yeah. Can you imagine writing that? Something that they're still pulling stories from 50 years later.
Yeah.
It's like, that's amazing.
It is. And it tells it and how I think now, looking back on it, we're able to like have this conversation. To look back on the legacy of it and be like, okay, he wrote all 6 of these, and then from there you can like pull the thread through all of them. You can see trends and you can see commonalities in all of them, but there were twists in each of them. Yeah. Even though it kind of looked like, oh, this is just kind of recycled, but it's not for real. Yeah. It's really not. And so if we go through, let's start with Rocky first. Creed is a separate thing. Which one? Favorite?
Which Rocky is the...
Yes, your favorite.
Growing up or now?
Now. Let's talk now. Is it different? It's different?
I think it's different.
Is it? Okay. You already said yours.
Well, yeah, so, and I think my favorite was 4 growing up because...
Me too.
Yes, Apollo dying, saying it was... it was the 80s babies.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? With the
music.
It was
the peak of everything.
Right. It's like the music, saying the evolution of technology, saying it was coming from that like low cast cinema. It was kind of like glossy. It was kind of like fresh. It had it had like it had James Brown in it.
Yeah, I'm saying any glitz.
It was unfortunately right. So it was kind of.
I got some notes on that part.
Yeah, so it was kind of like it made that transition out of low budget to like, all right, so we didn't put some money behind it. You know what I'm saying? But now, Rocky V, just man, it's just like every aspect of it, like he went back, he was back to his original self, but at the same time, he just had, I hate that, I use that word like swag, but I love the line he always like, home team, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. It was that he didn't have anything else, but he had his family, and he was trying to hold on to that tight, and you know what I'm saying? I
think the thing that you love out of 5 was that was the first movie where boxing was taken away. Really, like he wasn't an active fighter anymore, right? And he had to rewrite himself. And I think he wrote some things into the character of Rocky that was just beautiful, really. You know what I mean? Like, I thought, like for me, Rocky 1 is really beautiful because it's such a love story. But by the time he gets to 5, he's building a very deep character out of Rocky that wasn't there before.
Yeah, and if we look at 1 and 5, when you say he's back in the neighborhood, but who is he back in the neighborhood? And then if we go to Balboa, he's in the neighborhood, but he's another iteration of himself in the neighborhood. And so, when you made the distinction between younger and now, I'm going to say 3 with Clubber Lang. I think.
Hey, woman.
I think because he was such a character. You know, Mr. T was like, he was Mr. T. You know, and so I think having that connect, like Mr. T had a cereal, he had a show, he had like all these. So to see him, and that kind of resonated with me, and the fact that, you know, he was doing all the Mr. T stuff, and you know, so that part.
He's in WrestleMania.
Yeah, and that
Thunder Lips.
Yeah.
Okay, so that part.
So that was a segue into it. Like,
yeah,
you know?
but now later, I'm so torn. But I gotta say, I don't know. I think 5 for me too, because I think his heart was in it. Like he wanted Tommy to be. Like he saw, like he really wanted to pour into him, and he was like, I can give you what Mickey gave me, and I see that in you, and I want that. But Tommy wasn't trying to hear it, wasn't trying to be slow about it, wasn't trying to be methodical. He wanted it fast, and that's how he got it. And so,
touch me not sue.
Sue me for what?
That dude,
touch me not sue.
That part, right. And so I think for those reasons, like 5 for me is touching, because he's like, you know, man, I'm down and out, but am I really?
Yeah.
Am I really? So that's, I think, so 3 when I was coming up, but now it's 5.
It's hard for me to like 5.
Really?
Because I just don't like Tommy Morrison. As a boxing fan, it's hard for me to like a movie with Tommy Morrison. Okay. So there's a bias. But it is a beautiful movie, right?
I think, and I think that's the way I like it, because he turned to a bad guy so quick, and owned it like it was like
who he is.
Yeah. So it was like so it's like you could see it, but you know what I'm saying, he was like it was that little, he had that little abrasiveness to him, but then he just flipped and then he owned it, like you know what I'm saying.
5 is dope.
Yeah, but I think it, because I think he played the perfect bad guy of, you know, everything I done taught you. It's kind of like with Karate Kid 3. You know what I'm saying? Like it kind of like, you know what I'm saying, I
him in the butt.
Yeah, exactly. I brought you in, and, you know what I'm saying, and then you turned on. You know what I'm saying? So it's a hard thing to watch. And what I was gonna say before I cut you off, I apologize. Is that Rocky, the series, made me think that was Sylvester Stallone. So then, like, when I see him in the interview, like, why you ain't talking right?
Why you don't sound like Rocky?
Oh, you not slow. Oh, you are highly intelligent. I really thought, like, you know, like, why is Rambo not talking like?
But that's a good point to bring up Rambo, because him creating both of them characters the way he did make it seem like that was him, right? Like he was gonna talk like that. It did happen. Absolutely.
So one article that you posted this week was about villains.
Yeah.
And how
James Clubber Lang.
Yes. Yeah. Was not the villain in Rocky 3.
No.
And so I was like, oh. But then when I read it, I said, hey.
He was right about everything he said.
He did. And so the article talked about, and this is going to come into some comparison. So for you listening, if you have not watched Creed 3, I don't know if you're going to keep listening, because there will be spoilers in this, because I'm going to talk.
Spoiler alert. Spoiler alert.
I am going.
Abort.
Yes, I'm going to talk freely about Creed 3, because there are comparisons between the two the two sets of movies, because I think it's by design, as it should
Absolutely.
be. But the article was talking about Clubber Lang. He was disgruntled because Rocky was a paper champion.
Yes.
Mickey designed it to be that way, which you like. Well, he did. He told him all of that was on the table, but he was the number one contender, but was not getting a shot, and so he was arguably, not arguably, but he was rightfully upset by the whole thing. Now his approach, you can't be saying, "Come in, woman."
Hey, woman.
That's disrespectful.
His fault was that he was mean.
There we go. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, he was mean.
He was mean. That was his only fault, right? He was right.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Creed 3, it echoes back to Rocky 3, but it echoes back to Rocky 1 a lot more. And that Dame is getting the same chance that Rocky got, right? Rocky didn't deserve a title shot.
He didn't.
Rocky got a title shot because the number one contender broke his hand. Yeah. And everybody else was booked up. And Rocky got picked just because of his name, because they liked his nickname, the Italian Stallion, right? So it's like, he didn't deserve any of that. And then when he got in there, he lost, and he got the rematch based on the hype and because of Creed's ego. So it's like, by the time you get to 3, he got the belt, but he defended the title 10 times against people who were selected so he can beat them. Dodged all of the real contenders.
Yeah, and was
the number one contender who fought his way to the top is being denied because Mick thinks he's going to kill Rocky in the ring.
Yeah, he's like that.
So, of course, he's mad.
Yeah.
And then when he gets in with him, what did he do? Kill Rocky in the ring in 2 rounds.
He did. So, what you said real quick, when you made the comparison to Creed 3, Rocky 3, or Rocky 1, actually,
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if this is by coincidence or not, the fact that Dame had the dude's hand broken so he could get a shot goes back to Rocky 1. And I didn't think about that at all, that's how Rocky got his shot, because the dude's hand was broken.
Yeah.
Just the similarities and being able to pinpoint those or connect with those is like, that's what makes this a great series of movies, because you have all these things that are connected and linked and referring and foreshadowing and all those things that makes it so, just endearing to me. It just hooks me every single time.
It has the average movie watcher go back and look at that stuff, because I forgot about that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's like, or even if they see it on the humble, like, oh man, I haven't, you know what I'm saying, making those connections and then bringing literally 2 generations together to enjoy, you know what I'm saying, this body of work that's spanned this length of time.
Yeah.
And that's good. So, and I think with Michael B. Jordan taking it over and directing and really being in the driver's seat of this, to pay homage like that is brilliant.
Because
but really big shout out to Ryan Coogler for having the whole vision, and Stephen Caple Jr. for making Creed 2 come through.
He from Cleveland?
From Cleveland.
Yeah,
Cleveland, all day. He just did the new Transformers too.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's been 3 different directors for each one of these Creed movies, but it's cohesive.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
It is. And even so I was on the villain part. So if Clubber Lang is not a villain, who is?
Nobody is.
You sure? I have a villain.
For the Mick's a villain because he's a racist, but other than that, he called Clubber Lang an ape.
He did.
And then they blame Clubber Lang for killing him when really Rocky killed him.
That's the article said. I didn't look at it that way. So he said
he couldn't go.
Yeah.
I can't watch you fight anymore. Rocky begged him.
One more.
And then he died.
He knew Mick had him at heart, but then he guilted him into being there, which is, he wouldn't have been in Clubber's.
Then they're like, oh, well, Clubber pushed him. He didn't want to be out there.
Yeah, Rocky knew he was sick. So that was a perspective I didn't have at all.
And it's so crazy. Like, it's so many great, like, and I think you said it before in the beginning, like, it's so many great scenes or moments of each movie that you can pick out. You know what I'm saying? Like, Mick dying. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, Paul dying. You know what I'm saying?
Or Rocky lying to Mick when he died. Remember, Clubber Lang knocked him out in 2 rounds, and he went back to Mick dying, and Mick was like, what happened? He was like, it's over in 2 rounds, man. And Mick was like, good job.
Yeah.
And he
didn't tell him.
He didn't say I lost in 2 rounds.
I can't let my man go out knowing I did. Then he was right. Exactly. That wasn't Rocky's pride.
Because he said, I can't let you fight him. He gonna kill you.
Yeah, I can't let him know going out that he was right.
Yep. So are you saying Rocky's the villain of Rocky 2?
I am not. No, I'm saying across the entire. There's a common person and a common thread through all. Come on, fist. Because
Paulie, the devil,
Paulie from the first when Rocky wanted to get with Adrian to when they in the parking garage and he trying to tell him give me a job and he all this stuff they trying to fight him when Paulie's drunk.
But wait a minute though, Rocky 4, he redeems himself.
Say more.
Walking down the aisle, Rocky's about to fight Ivan Drago. Remember, halfway to the ring, he's crying. Remember, he's got the American flag draped around him, and he stops and he said, if I could jump out of my skin and be anybody, I'd be you. You're my hero. And that was what he walked into the ring with. That energy from Paulie is what he walked into.
How did that make you feel?
Didn't move my needle at all. Only because when they come back from Russia, and they come back from Russia.
Now see, that's why.
Because they gave Paulie power of attorney.
Exactly. That's why you have to watch these movies as adults, or as with a mature mindset. Because I missed all of that. Yeah. I just knew he died, and now he fighting in the alley in front of the bus. When I watched that, when he was, and I'm talking about got emotional when he was in the shower, shivering, and then when he went and then lost everything for him, I was like, kill him,
yes.
You gotta go, and then he moved in.
So Paulie is the villain of the entire Rocky series
for me, because if I look
predominantly,
because here's the thing, I could say Ivan Drago. But then when
Drago wasn't a villain.
But wait, I would say that at face value. But then when I see Creed and saw what happened after and how he was made,
I didn't even need to see that. They told that story in Rocky 4. If you look at him, you can see he doesn't say anything hardly. He's always being used and manipulated, and when they get to the ring, you can see how confused he is.
He's programmed. Okay.
Exactly. He's like a zoo animal, right? Like he's looking around like, what is James Brown dancing around him? He's looking like, what am I even doing?
Right. You will lose. But to me, he was programmed. So okay, I give you that. Yeah, right. His fist didn't move.
First of all, can I just say something about the technicalities of boxing? Ivan Drago knocked Rocky down about 14 times. They only counted him standing 8 about 4 of those times. They just let him get back up. First of all, any sanctioned referee is stopping that fight. He got knocked down so many times. It was over. There's no way they let him keep fighting in that fight.
Yeah. And I think that's the problem that a lot of boxing enthusiasts have with Rocky. And I think it's for me, I'm not looking at it from a technical. I'm looking
I try not to.
With emotion, and that's why I love it.
The punches is what most people had a problem with back then. I didn't have a problem with that. It's obvious they're 6 inches away from each other's face.
Yeah.
Getting knocked down and just jumping back up, those kind of things bug me.
Okay.
Especially when sometimes you give them a standing 8, sometimes you just don't, right?
I think that the most endearing thing about it is that it's entertainment. Yes. You know what I'm saying? It is. I don't think it's put out there to draw a parallel to the boxing world. Yeah. I mean, in some aspects of, through dialogue, through training, stuff like that. But in the actual fight scenes, we don't have to juice it up a little bit. And it wasn't even. And I go out on a limb and say that choreography is not as good as it is today. You know what I'm saying? So it's just we gonna make it do what it do, and get some shots in, and put this this thing together to make it where it's the climax. It's the culmination of this whole movie of getting to this point. But
so do you agree or disagree that Paulie's a villain?
I do. That's why I fist bumped you. Yeah, and now I didn't have that that mindset watching it throughout that, but
I just didn't like him.
Yeah, he was a slime ball.
There we go.
He was a slime ball. He was, he was a leech. Mm-hmm. He was opportunist. Just unsmart, irresponsible, and uncouth. Just like,
but entitled.
Ooh.
How are you an entitled leech?
That part.
Excuse me?
So is that just the beauty of how they wrote that, of how they wrote that character? Because to make you still, because I don't even know the man's still alive, but like just to see him on the street, like, wow, you know what I'm saying? But that's the beauty of how great this story is, that they were able to create a character for you to hate 40 years later. Like
so we came up with some adjectives for Paulie.
Oh my goodness!
Why
y'all going in on Paulie?
I mean, we were just putting some closure on the conversation. So you said irresponsible,
uncouth, unsmart, slime ball, leech.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Entitled.
Yeah.
And these things are like dead on because, they wrote that character perfectly.
And he played it perfectly.
Excellent, needed character, right?
Gosh.
It's a good comic relief vehicle, right? Like it would have been too much seriousness in a lot of these movies, too boring, so they had to spice it. But like Rocky IV, he really got in his comedy with the robot and all that. Mm. But Rocky IV is just a really bad movie, really though. It's probably like one of the worst movies.
Is that your least favorite?
It's not my least favorite, but just quality-wise, like looking at it as a movie, that movie's not good.
You talked about the James Brown aspect. You said you had some notes on that. What do you have with the whole James Brown aspect of Rocky IV?
Well,
I want to sing something.
How much time do we have? Let me just start with, like, from the perspective of... Station 2, Detroit City.
The worst part was that hat. Oh my God.
Apollo?
Yes. Oh my God. The most buffoonish.
Yes.
Oh my
God.
Let me say this. Let me say. I can't even word it like my mom, God rest her soul. I told you my mom was all about racial justice. Right? She loved Rocky 1, hated Rocky 2. She couldn't stand the fact that Apollo failed. Right? So we get to Rocky 4. James Brown, somebody she's grown up listening to, right, is now at this point of his career, right, where it's living in America. It's just all bad, right? Creed comes out to the most buffoonish display you ever gonna see.
Yeah.
So just like my mom wanted to pull the VHS out. It's just a wrap, right? She just did not want to deal with this movie, right? It's bad. But I will say this. I think what Ryan Coogler did was honor Apollo Creed's whole character, right? Like the whole thing. That was his thing. In Rocky 1, when he fought him, he came out dressed as Uncle Sam, right? With Rocky 2, he came out dressed as Uncle Sam, right? Like he's always got the big over-the-top musical display. It reached a level of buffoonery for us. Ryan Coogler reached into that garbage can and said, I'm going to reclaim this. And if you look at all of the Creed movies, every boxer gets a over-the-top musical intro to where it's like, you've now turned this into a beautiful trademark of your Creeds, because it is, if you're going to call a movie Creed, they're going to have musical intro. That's just the way it's gonna have to go. Right, exactly. This ain't called Rocky no more.
Exactly.
This is Creed. So I thought Ryan Coogler is a genius in the way that he did that, and the way that each movie has honored it, except for Dame, because Diamond Dame had to come out. He is the embodiment of Mike Tyson. He's coming out of prison, and he is Mighty Mike Tyson when he gets out of prison. He's stripped down, no robe, just black. Yeah. That's it. Yeah. So I thought it was good for him to come out that way. But everybody else, Pretty Ricky, boom. Yep. Oh, you getting the show.
Yes. Yes.
The show. Or what's my man, what's his name? Felix? What's my man?
Oh, in 3?
In 3.
Yeah.
Man, with the hit, with the smoke.
Yeah.
And so now it's like you watch a Creed movie, you waiting for those. You're like, what they gonna do this time?
Yeah, what's happening?
So I love the fact that he took something that we all hated. Like, I can't even imagine how many millions of black people was like, oh. And then he died that way, right? It's left such a bad taste in our mouth.
And I guess I didn't. Now again, retrospect, it was bad.
It was horrible.
It was horrible. But it was such a spectacle because it was like back then it was Russia and the U.S.
Yes.
So it was like that is what they're coming out as this superpower, but we're coming out as a superpower as well. Yeah. So I think it was like that presentation of where we about to show you up. Like we don't take you as an opponent or a country seriously.
It was big. I think this, and I know we can't talk about Rocky without talking about race, because the Rocky series came into this world as a racial divider. Like that was between black people and white people, specifically Italian people. It was big. In the late 70s, early 80s, them Rocky movies was something serious.
Right.
You putting Apollo up there against Rocky, it was no joke.
So
there's a reason why they kept making them sequels. Nobody was ever happy with the way they ended. You had to keep coming back. So I believe, and I haven't heard Stallone say this, but I think as he was writing this, he felt like the first 2 and 3 already addressed the race issue. Now I want to elevate it to go to the world, right? Because this is what he was talking about in those first movies. They were a statement on race. And I think he was saying, I'm going to address the Cold War. This is how big Rocky is.
Yeah. Right. That's what I think.
So to us, we were still looking at it like, though,
race.
Apollo, bruh. It's still Apollo. You can't just kill him like. So we still were holding on to our race, where I think he was trying to move forward, but I think it's just one of those things where you can't quite.
The budget got bigger. The budget got bigger, and it was like, well, what are we gonna do now? You know what I'm saying? Like you are known, just like you know what I'm saying. The way they presented the character in 3, like you know what I'm saying, he was blitzing glamour. He was you know what I'm saying. You established now. The Rocky franchise is established now. You know what I'm saying. We're gonna give it one more try, and I would love to be in that time to see what it was like at that round table when they was coming up with ideas. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know,
when they came up with Drago?
Yeah. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying? It's like we did 3. We got a little more, we extended the budget. You know what I'm saying? Now let's go ahead. What could we do? What's in the news? What's going on? And I'm just spitballing here and saying, you know.
You didn't have to look far.
Exactly.
To find Russia, because it was everywhere.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Right, that's what I'm saying. So I wonder, like, we were all young at that point, so we were not.
Yeah.
We were not
those
connected.
tropes.
Yeah, connected in that way. But like for our parents and our grandparents, like you said, that the race aspect, but globally was the movie look, and I don't know, because if it's still LB at that point, no budget, was it not even considered like making a statement? But what was when the movie came out, did it do anything? Did
Which
it like
one? 4?
When 4 came out, did it do anything to like, they're depicting Russia and America in this movie?
Oh, for sure.
Did it do anything conversationally or?
I can remember the Siskel and Ebert get downs, that vibe, you know what I mean?
Okay.
But the problem with it though, I didn't have a bedtime ever. We stayed up all night, every night.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
It was a good one.
Yeah, Mary Sue Graham was like, see you later.
I just think that back then it was kind of flooded though, because you gotta remember Superman 4 came out at the same time, doing the exact same thing. Right, you got Superman fighting the giant Russian nuclear man. It was almost like the same movie,
like a theme.
And it flopped.
Was that with Pryor?
No, that was 3. Yeah, yeah, that was 3.
So that would seem to be a theme-ish, maybe.
Yeah,
maybe intentional.
Well,
maybe
Superman
not.
and Rocky were kind of mirroring each other with the first 4.
Get out of here! Good God, that's a whole nother. Okay.
Yeah.
That is
now
a rabbit hole.
Is Red Heat around there too? Was Schwarzenegger in
what year was that?
Jim Belushi?
I gotta check that year.
I think that's 88.
But it was big. I mean, I can remember going to school, and that was the thing. Like, our teachers were like, yo, it's going to be a World War III against Russia. Wow. You got to get ready. They used to have us, like, hide under desks and have, like, nuclear drills and stuff. It was just, that was the thing for the early and mid 80s. That was what you was thinking about.
Wow.
Yeah. This conversation turned into the Rocky series into Rocky Vote. How much did you hate it? I was like, it was a great movie. Now y'all making me like...
Actually, that's the one I've watched the most recently. I just watched it like 2 days ago. Okay. Really bad movie. Like, you do not want to watch that movie right now.
Are you looking at it from the lens of what you've seen now, or just like, are you really being...
I'm looking at it from the lens of pure entertainment in the moment. Okay. It is such a time capsule movie. Yes. About 40% of the movie is musical montages of them training. Like, there's very little actual movie happening. It's mostly just running in Siberia, prepping, James Brown dancing, some more running. It's not a whole lot of movie there. There's a robot that takes up like a lot of scenes. Paulie, the robot, his son, the robot. The robot's in there a lot, man. Like, I was like, I do not remember this movie being so bad. There's just not a lot of movie to it.
I don't remember being that bad either. But I'm so
yeah. And because with your memory, we picking and choosing the best scenes.
I watched this movie.
And plus, like,
all I think about is his beard.
A robot roll out.
His beard.
Yeah.
Who?
Rocky when he grew the beard.
Yeah.
I will say though, when Adrian showed up out in Russia, it was like boom, because Rocky, that's one of his trademarks, right? Like, he did it in Creed 2. Was it Creed 2?
What?
Where he brought Bianca. Remember, he brought her to they had split up, and he brought her to the hotel room. Oh, yeah. She was right behind him, and he was like boom, and he got them back together. That's what Rocky does. He's a sentimental romantic. Yes. That's who he is, right?
And I love one of the themes through, and we're gonna segue to Creed pretty soon, but one of the themes I love is the love story that's in Rocky, but it's also in Creed. And so keeping that same thing, because it's important, like having your person. Because, trying, even with, Donnie trying to do things solo, because he had so much in his background and he was hiding and didn't want to confront, but you can't ice your person out. Yeah. And even Rocky, I think it was 5, Adrian was like, what are you doing with Tommy? Like, she felt like she was in the dark.
It was all of them. It was a lot of them.
Yeah, and the son too. Like, you icing out your son. All you doing is, focusing on Tommy. Yeah. That's what you're doing, and not this. But he was so, I don't know if the word desperate, but he just longed for it. Yeah. Because he wasn't in it anymore.
And he got a thirst for it.
Yeah, he had a thirst for it. He saw, like, again, what he knew what Mick gave to him. And so he had now I'm in a position where I can give it to someone else. But was Tommy deserving? Not so much. He wasn't deserving of it at all. He didn't deserve what Rocky had to give.
I think he deserved it. I think he just
he wasn't he wanted it faster than what Rocky. Well, he just
no. I think he got enticed, but he what's the word I'm looking for? He spoiled it. He devoured it. You know what I'm saying?
Tommy?
Yeah. So he deserved it because he was humble. He was humble, talented. You know what I'm saying? Wanted to shine in the beginning. So so like when you deserve it, and definitely didn't deserve it at the end. But and you know what I'm saying? He was the guy to pour into. You know what I'm saying? But he just went on and messed it all up because,
made in America. Only in America. Yeah. Gave him, saw an opportunity.
I would love the George Washington,
Duke.
Whatever. George Washington Duke.
Yeah. Yeah. So he had what, because he, even though where Tommy saw Rocky was at a low point, he knew where Rocky was. Yeah. Like, and a funny part to me between Rocky 1 and 3, not Rocky 1, Rocky 2, when he tried to do the endorsements in Rocky 2, it was so bad. Yes, it was so bad. Like, he was so out of place with it. Like, okay, I got this little bit of money. They want me to do these little ads and stuff. But then once he went from 2 to 3, he was better with it.
Wow.
Yeah, swap more, you know.
He was mimicking Creed.
Right. Because Creed had, so he was following the Creed's 101 marketing of boxing class or whatever.
Right.
So he kind of knew.
Tan suits.
Tan suits. Right. So it's just that recipe and that recipe and that formula that just created itself. And then once we start talking about, you know, Creed, did that happen as well? And so before,
go back to, if you don't mind, back to the love story, and because we talked about Bianca and Donnie, but what about Adrian and Rocky?
Icing her out, and icing your partner out, and having them. You know, he actually did that in Rocky too. Mm-hmm. Remember, he retired after he lost to Apollo.
He did,
and then he wanted to come back, and she was like, "I'm not having it."
Yeah.
So that was like a recurring theme, just like she was also not having it when Creed wanted to fight Drago. Adrian was always like, I'm not with this. I'm out, right? And then he would have to get her back and win her back.
And she would come with her passion. Yeah. Just like screaming at him, like when they were on the beach and he was like, I'm afraid. And no, she said, so fight him or something. He's like, I'm afraid. And she was like, well, whatever. But just that exchange on the beach. I remember those words where she gave him what he needed as far as like, I'm not going to just let you, I'm going to support you, but I'm here. Like, I'm not this person you can just sit to the side. I've been with you since, you know.
But also bringing out the fight in him.
Yeah.
For sure, right? Yeah. And I love that about Bianca, especially on 3. Because she did it in 1 and 2, but in 3, she was like, what you going to have to do?
I got a little,
So I'm going to talk about 2 scenes. The scene with Rocky and Adrian is when she's in the hospital and she says, come here, do me a favor. And she says, when? That gives me goosebumps.
Yeah.
When Creed and Bianca were in their bedroom sitting at the foot of the bed, and it was just the scene.
After his mother died?
Yes. Yeah. And she was so in tune and attuned to him, but she was talking to him and giving him what he needed. She was his person in that moment. Yeah. And so those 2 separate tender moments was when they were both they were doubting themselves. Rocky was doubting himself. Donnie was doubting himself. And at both points, the partner, Adrian and Bianca, gave them what they needed.
But I love the fact that there was some evolution there in how a woman has a voice, right?
Yes.
Because Bianca did more than just give him what he needed. She talked about what she needed, right? She was like, dude, I'm going through stuff too.
Yeah.
And he was like, but it's so easy for you. And she was like, it ain't. It's just that I'm going through it. I'm opening up and working through it, and you're not doing that.
So I gotta push back on that, because in the scene, I guess it was in the man cave or whatever, and she's like, you gotta open up and talk to me, and I had a problem with that. Like, he's like, I don't want to. He was like, just let it die. Like, I don't want to talk about it. And I feel like I wish they would have spent more time with that. It's like, just because you communicate well, just because you or give the impression that you are communicating well, or it's easy for you to communicate, doesn't mean I'm there yet. You know what I'm saying? Like, and because he was like, I buried that. You know what I'm saying? And I love that it was a makeshift area or makeshift scene that happened with him and Dame or whatever. Like, you know what I'm saying? But they told it beautifully, because it was like, hey, I ain't talked about this, and then because I let it go, you know. And
but he didn't let it go.
That's
the issue. And now he's married to her, and she's in it with him, so he owe it to her to dig through it. You can't just say, I buried it. You don't get that option no more, right?
Because if it's impacting
but at the same time, it's right, exactly. But in my time,
because it don't work that way. Because marriage is between 2 people. you can't be like only in my time. It's got to be y'all both giving effort. You got to see the effort. You can't just be like, well, like he was like, it's easy for you. For one, that's disregarding her because he don't know how easy that is for her. Just because she accomplishing it don't mean it's easy. Like when he met her, she had the hearing aids in and had already gone through a struggle with her music and her hearing and all. And she was already working through that. He never asked her, what is it you going through? How hard is it for you to show up and talk to me about your hearing?
She's producing music, so she must be
But
okay.
who asked her? Dame showed up and was like, man, it had to be hard to give up what you love.
Yeah.
Adonis never asked her.
Yeah.
He just assumed, man, she's dealing with everything easy, and I'm not. He took her for granted, and she needed to speak up for herself so that they could be back on the same page.
So I feel both of y'all because there needs to be some grace from her, but to your point, Jay, to what degree? My grace can only go so far because what you're burying, I'm watching it deteriorate you before my eyes.
And not only you, it's impacting her and the kid.
Yes.
No doubt.
Yeah.
And that's what he had, and he realized that.
Yeah.
And I think that's what he knew in that moment. I'm going to have to fight my past.
Yes, and that's what Dame represented.
Right. It's going to have to all come out.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to come out with it. I'm going to have to work through it. I'm going to have to I got to do it. And to me, that's why it's almost like Dame wasn't even real. I feel like Dame was like, he really was just an embodiment of Adonis's past. Like you said, he had buried it. He had put it behind him. But anytime, like...
Dame was a boogeyman.
Essentially. He was like any black man who had to go through a lot in their past. In order to be successful, you got to, at some point, walk away from that, turn your back on it, try to bury it. And he did that. And he succeeded in it. But just like every other black man, it come back on you. It's always going to knock at your door. And you got to find some way to beat it again, right? In the open this time. And I think that was why that fight that they had. Number one, you think about their fight. Adonis was not even a fighter anymore. He had been retired for 3 years. Dame was not a fighter. He only fought one match.
Right.
That was not a boxing match. That was a fight between Adonis and his past. Period. That's why most of it happened with no audience. It was just the two of them fighting. Because that was a fight up here, just like Rocky set the tone for in the beginning, where he said, every single fight is just you against you.
So, question, if that was Adonis fighting his past, if we flip it and look at what was Dame fighting, because
what his future could have been.
And his rage and his...
And he said it.
Yeah,
because he was looking, he was like, what do it feel like to live my life?
Yeah.
He was fighting the dude who was living his life.
Yeah.
It's like, I had to just imagine looking at somebody that was living your life every day.
Living my life because my dream deferred.
Yeah.
Because of a circumstance that happened and you ran.
Yeah.
Adonis ran and got away from it, and he didn't.
I felt really bad about that because they both got abused by the same person. That's why Dame was like, it wasn't really like Dame was particularly standing up for Adonis. He was standing up for himself too, pulling that gun. Adonis did run, and it's unfortunate that it went down where Dame had to get it. You know what I'm saying? That's why I feel like, to me, what it feels like Michael B. Jordan and Ryan Coogler were writing is the reality that for a black man to have something, he gotta take it from somebody else. Another black man gotta lose it for you to have it, right? We both can't have it.
Wow.
That reality in this world. That's why if you look at when they entered the ring, if you look really closely, Adonis is wearing his usual red, white, and blue from his father, but he got red, black, and green on the back.
Yeah.
He's rocking the African black man colors. You look at Dame, he came in all his fights with all black, and he got red, black, and green. They're fighting in a white ring surrounded by whiteness. It is the idea that two black men are always going to be on stage fighting each other for the scraps that white America, the white world lets them have. They both can't have it.
Wow.
That's why you looking in the fight, it was jail bars behind them. It was like they were going through their whole life. And all of this because they were in a system that abused them. They didn't ask for this.
Right.
You know what I mean? I thought it was really unfortunate. And I was talking to my oldest daughter about this. Like at the end, I didn't want either one of them to lose. That's how I felt. But I knew one of them had to.
Yeah.
And I knew it had to be Dame because Dame was the villain. Because Dame did do malicious stuff, right? Like unlike Clubber Lang, he actually did hurt people.
Yeah, and
to get where he wanted to go.
He set
right?
up. He set up. Which what I figured. Okay, transparency. We know the recipe. We know the formula. We know that there's this triumphant, fight at the end of every movie. We know how this happens. But what I didn't expect was that Dame set it up with getting the dude's hand broke. That maybe I was just too
I knew that.
starstruck. I didn't even think
about it. I knew
about
something malicious was going to happen because he was presenting too nice. Yeah. Like with Bianca.
It was going to be a transition from him to going
exactly.
Straight villain. Because I was like, when looking at the photos of him, like, man, this dude jacked. And then knowing that he was going to be the antagonist, I was like, oh, man. But then seeing the movie, I was like, well, what a bad guy at? Like, you know what I'm saying? He just kind of looked kind of like a little delayed, a little slow.
It was ominous. I knew something was coming. I knew, but I guess I didn't know what was going to get. Well, okay, here's the thing. Once the hand was broken, okay, I'm like, okay, he gone. His hand broke, so now he gonna offer up Dame to fight him and this, that, and the third, whatever. Okay, I get that. But I didn't think that Dame had a hand. Sure. No pun intended.
You know what was refreshing?
I can kind of tell.
What was refreshing that they did not play the usual him getting with his wife.
Yes,
I love that.
I love that.
Right,
too.
I was like,
so glad they did not take the low road and
yes.
say, like, you know what I'm saying,
he
caught him in the corner and he tried to kiss her, or you know what I'm saying,
or even like some Mr. T stuff where he just say something wrong. Yeah.
I think that would have been like. It would have felt disjointed. It wouldn't have made sense because what do you do with that? Yeah. Because now I'm gonna fight you. The fight should have always been in the ring, and there was a line to get it.
It would have made sense. It would have been.
I think it would have brought the fight to present day, right? The fight always had to be about the past.
Okay.
You can't bring it to now. That's too much, right?
Because then he dealing with two things. I can't deal with my past because I saw you pushing up on my woman.
And if you make him push up on a woman, it's too clear because then you're gonna clearly root for Adonis. He clearly wins, not as big. Yeah. But if you kind of don't want either one of them to lose. That's a better climax, right?
Now,
it was the Ryan Coogler blueprint that he did in Black Panther with Killmonger, right? Yeah.
Okay. Message. Okay, we moved into Creed, but we didn't touch on Balboa. Quick. I mean, it could be quick, but I
just got one takeaway from that. I'll let y'all speak, but then the one takeaway from mine, and then y'all go what. I guess I just don't say.
Yeah, I know you thought you was
going to just the sad cloud of his son dying. You know that was his son in there.
Yes.
And that he killed himself.
Yes.
Yeah. That just I never watched it more than once. You know what I'm saying? Just knowing, especially with the speech he gave him on the street.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Just and then knowing that happened, like I know that it's. I don't even know if he will watch it again, but that's Balboa was totally unnecessary.
That was why I felt kind of weird watching This Is Us, just because the dude that replaced his son played the dead father in that. It was just like too dark. Exactly. Yeah, it's too dark. Every time I watch This Is Us, I was just like, it's too much.
Yeah, he was at the end. He was at the end.
Yep.
He was at the end.
He still plays him in Creed. He plays Rocky's son too.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I forgot about that.
Yeah, actually, he said he brought Stallone to This Is Us. I don't know if he had a cameo on there or something.
I'm so glad This Is Us is over because it would have totally sold it for me.
I can watch that show. Yeah.
He was Creed too.
Remember Rocky went to see him.
So yes, all of that, but just putting it together in this space.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I didn't.
I forgot all about that. Yeah.
And to say how it impacted.
I've always wondered, and I guess I gotta go back and watch it because it was on the other day, and I watched the beginning. But what happened to the lady, Marie, and her black son? What happened to them?
I don't know. Right. It was in there, but then it was like, I don't remember. They just.
It's like you could tell they were trying to get it started, and I think that's probably what Ryan Coogler was looking at when he was like, "I got an idea." Right, you know, because he see Rocky with this woman and this half black son, and he don't have a father, and Rocky's playing this mentor to him. But then you don't really see that play out at the end of the movie.
No, because it went off to.
I think aesthetically, it just he just looked bad to me. He looked bloated. He didn't really like. Now, have you seen Tulsa King?
Tulsa King, yeah.
And he looks
awesome
for a 75 because the lady was like. The love interest, she was like, you 75?
Yeah.
You're like, yeah. But in Balboa and even with
Creed 1? Creed 1 or Rocky 5?
No, I lost my train of thought. But Balboa, it was something else that he was in. He just Rambo. He just looked at like out of shape, not out of shape, but just he looked like slow.
Out of place. Like he should you have done this at this time like that?
So
I wonder if that's when he was having the first issues with the producer. The dude.
So what's the one he did with De Niro? It ain't Rocky. The For the Money with Kevin Hart. Is that's Stallone in it?
What?
Who? What?
Or man, I got it wrong. I thought didn't De Niro have a boxing movie with where Kevin Hart was his manager and all that. You remember that? And I thought it was Stallone with that too.
Oh, I don't know.
I got. But he looked at big in that too. But going back to that, like just looking at it and him being in the ring, just way past.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, just.
Yeah, at that point, like it should have been in 5. You was the mentor. Creed 1, you was the mentor. Stay. So
is Balboa even necessary?
No. I think 5 could have been.
Balboa should have been a TV show.
Yes.
Balboa could have been a TV show.
First of all, Antonio Tarver. That falls right into the Tommy Morrison thing for me. A couple of things that they try to bring from real boxing: Tommy Morrison, the fake Don King, and Antonio Tarver. They could have kept all 3 of them for me. It didn't resonate with me. I understand what they were trying to do with Tommy Morrison, and that kind of works. But I just didn't want to see Tommy Morrison.
So the character Tommy, just not Tommy Morrison playing him.
Yeah, the character would have been, but I understand why. Because he was the perfect person to play him, but
grudge match.
It's just disgusting.
Oh, was that a comedy?
Something like it.
Okay.
Oh
okay.
Yeah. I think that's part of Kevin Hart's 25 movie deal.
Yeah.
He like Richard Pryor at this point. He just knocking them out once every 6 months. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Let's get back quickly to it. Giving no more energy to.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, he looked at out of place in that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And Balboa just.
Okay.
It wasn't easy on the eyes.
Yeah, but I just wanted to, we talking about this whole anthology. I wanted to touch on Balboa briefly as
as briefly as it needs to be.
Yep, because I've only seen it,
So going back to what you said with 4 being the worst, is Balboa better than 4? And if you say it, I kill you. I met you and killed you in the first game I met you. But yeah.
Here's my thing. It's like, it's the worst as in an actual executed movie. Like a piece of cinema. It's just bad, man. If you go back and look at it, there's no love story in it. They didn't show the love story between Drago and his wife. There's none of the classic things that make Rocky good cinema. It's all gone. It's just
in 4, you mean?
In 4,
okay.
It's all gone. And if you go back I'm telling you, go back and watch it now, you're gonna be like, this is the movie I like. There's very little actual movie to it.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I missed it.
So it's just an overall bad movie or a bad 80s movie?
Bad movie. It's it's a great 80s movie because that's what they did back then. Yeah. The montages, but I think that was just where they reached the limit with the montage. I mean, once you go like 12 minutes long, it's like, okay, you're training, we get it.
Running through the snow, the car, in the embankment, and then he was...
You gotta keep
put your fist inside the log.
I think Creed, all 3 of Creeds have done it tastefully, right? Like we know we gotta give it to you because this is Rocky, but we're gonna keep it to a minimum.
Yeah.
Keep the movie flowing.
Yeah. Got it.
Okay. Even with they only teased the Rocky music.
Yeah, 3.
Yeah.
I liked it. I like it.
It's
Kind of like
a device to tease with.
What they did with Bad Boys for Life. They went back to, you know what I'm saying, and I love that because I was thinking like, man, that would be great for them to pay homage to that. This before the movie even got made. I wanted I want to hear that. But and Nate, you know what I'm saying, the undertone of it, you know what I'm saying.
I love how it's like reworked in the back, and but only at certain moments, like when they know they want to get you.
That's my thing, because you know there are commonalities and things, but we don't want a warmed over biscuit.
Yes,
sir.
We don't want that, because we would have stopped watching it a long time ago.
Yes.
It would have been like, okay, like this is not. It can't just be two different people in the same story. Like there's twists in all of them.
I love that it was. It still stood up on its own too, with no Rocky in it at all.
Yeah. I was gonna ask y'all, because since that's the controversial thing.
Yeah.
Did it need him?
No. I was like, oh no, Rocky, but I didn't feel like, oh, like it would have been better if. I mean, it would have been nice if he would have been in it too as a continuum, but I didn't miss him.
I don't think. My personal feeling is he's not needed right now. Obviously, this is coming from a black man. I think this is a black man story. This is like through and through. Mm-hmm. This is written for us. This is talking to us. This is telling us how to better communicate with your wives and open up and deal with your brothers, even that you angry with, that you got long history. This is speaking our story. Mm-hmm. So I get that a lot of I saw a lot of reviewers from white men who were like, but you needed Rocky. I get that they feel that, but that's not what they were doing in this movie. And I think he would have been out of place to the people this movie's speaking to.
Do you think, now it's you know, hindsight's 2020, but if he, definitely in this iteration that they made, but could they have reworked it and made it where he that he would have fit in there?
Yeah, and I think they would have. Right?
Okay, cool.
I think him opting out, they worked it the way they did. And I think to me, it didn't need him. They filled in all the gaps. Because what does Rocky bring? Rocky brings gentleness, humor, right? Mm-hmm. This soft thing of mentorship. And like my oldest daughter, she did hit me with a good point. She was like, Rocky could have helped Adonis understand what it's like to fight his best friend. Mm. And I was like, that's a very good point. But they still didn't need it. She's 17.
Oh, wait.
I was like, but we still don't need it. But I think that's an excellent point.
I think you don't need them because it's a great movie.
Yes,
you know, because I think when you asked that question, I was thinking about it in the context of the finished product. Right. Like, where would he have been?
Exactly.
But like you said, what you also said was if he didn't opt out, they would have wrote it. So
they would have wrote it different.
Because maybe what your oldest said would have been the perfect area for him to shine in this movie. Because I think Adonis in Creed 3, he needed to stand on his own.
Yes.
He didn't have a mentor in this movie.
No.
He was the grown man that needed to still process what happened to him as a boy.
It was like Rocky when Apollo died. It was like, what you gonna do,
What am I going to do? Yeah, and so the part that had me on her deathbed when she said,
no, don't say it.
When she said, you helped me forgive Apollo or something like that. When she said,
and then she called him Apollo.
Yes.
The whole time she was talking to Apollo.
Yes, that's right.
She never said in the beginning. She's like, oh, there you go. And you
but she said, he helped me forgive you. That's what it said. That's what she said. Yeah. He helped me forget because, okay, let's go back. When Creed was coming out, and we knew in Rocky, Creed had girls. Mm-hmm. When the movie started, I said, where did this boy come from? Mm-hmm. Where his son? How you get a son? I said, they got to make this make sense for me because I'm a Rocky enthusiast, so it's got to make sense. But, of course, we found out how it made sense. So I said, uh-oh. Yeah. Yikes. How does that flow into the whole...
Of course Apollo was slipping out. Man, come on.
I mean...
On the count of 3, we're going to say yay or nay. Mm-hmm. Did Felicia Rashad need to be killed off? 1, 2, 3. No.
Come on, Ponderer.
Come on.
he like,
yes.
Yes?
Yeah.
in the same year.
It's
that
the
Angela
beauty,
Bassett got
it's the
killed?
beauty and the chaos of life. He had to.
She served no. She
What
was
do you think
good.
the black man life look like?
It wasn't even.
Mama can't be alive though.
It wasn't even like impact. It wasn't even like a. They like glossed over it though.
Plus, Rocky is filled with the older voice dying and the person being spoken to feeling like they're partially responsible. Remember, he yelled at her and he was like, none of this would have happened for you. And then she died, right? Although she did speak to him to forgive him to ease the blow, but he felt kind of responsible. That's common to the Rocky theme.
Okay.
And speaking to him on the deathbed. This is common. It had to happen.
There we go.
Because without Sly, she becomes the older mentor. So she had to die.
He had to die. They just wrote it that way.
Wow,
Like, you know,
it would take a lot of the punch away if she doesn't.
I mean, it had me. I was clutching my pearls. I said, "Oh Lord."
I will say this though.
it
I
wasn't.
One thing they
moving from-
haven't, the hole that they left is the other kids. They didn't show up to her funeral. That's a hole, right? You got to explain that.
Yeah, because I'm like, wait a minute, because he said your other kids.
They disrespected me. They ain't like me.
And I'm like, so what?
And I felt that. I was like, I like that. They finally addressing it because that's real.
Because like you just slid in there.
But where they at?
Right.
Unless they still mad that you rocking with this dude who just slid in here from some other woman.
Yeah.
And you ain't paying us no attention. You living in this mansion with him.
And
what about us?
I mean, that's a whole good mugga. That's a whole other. My
he
God.
did say he was making the Creed universe. Maybe he touched on.
I mean, it could,
So okay, I don't want to.
No, go ahead.
So, is there? There is opportunity, but is there a need or want for 10 years from now, 5 years from now, his daughter?
Line Creed?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that's
absolutely.
a whole.
That's a TV show already.
That's a whole. Yeah, she's.
I guarantee you, Netflix is already on it. Already on it, man.
That's a whole. Because I was writing down like themes, like similarities, and comparisons to Rocky and Creed, and one of them was Creed so Adonis Creed and his daughter, and Rocky and his son, because they both had an interest in boxing.
Mm-hmm.
Where Rocky, toward the end, gave him, started paying him some attention after Tommy, of course, kicked him to the curb. But Creed saw it, but there was that dichotomy between Creed wanting his daughter to learn it the right way, but Bianca not that she didn't want her to. I felt that she has to know that that's not all there is. So you have both of the parents. So it was still that commonality of you have both fighters and their children being interested. Opportunity now is Alana has the pathway is there for her to kind of grow into
because her father opened up.
Yeah.
And faced the lesson he needed to learn right in front of her, which is you can't just fight, you got to know why you fight.
Yeah.
That was the lesson she needs.
Yeah.
And she get to see her father, which again, going back to the black community, this is the way we heal our families. You get to see your father walk through his own battle. Remember, she hopped in the ring with him after he won. She was right there.
Yeah.
She get to see him overcome that. Something that was hard for him that almost broke him, but it didn't.
Yeah.
And he beat it. So it's like, that's the thing I thought was dope about her journey that Rocky's son didn't get.
And he didn't have that opportunity. First of all, she was justified for punching that girl, for ripping up her picture.
Well, absolutely, fact.
Continue.
But again, we're going back to black culture versus the world culture. Black people gonna tell you not 10 times out of 10, she was right. The world gonna tell you violence is never the answer.
Well, the world gonna tell you call
why,
your parents into the office so we can
talk about it. So why is she justified?
Here's the thing, right?
Why is she justified? Is it justified because it's her picture or because she was white?
Well, no.
because she literally walked up to her and she ripped up the picture of her face and was just mean.
And this is an important fact, right?
Be ready for the smoke.
Don't let nobody disrespect you, right?
Yeah.
The educators in us. What does that look like in reality, though? And what we import into our students? Because
absolutely,
what is going to happen? And I'm talking about her at 4th, 5th grade. what's going to happen? And we didn't say this before in the classroom. What does that look like when you're in the club and somebody just
facts?
I
agree. I agree with you. I think you're on something.
There's the lesson. There's the why you did it. I'm saying in the moment, I'm all for it. Now we got to sit down and talk about. Maybe we can't do this.
Yeah.
There's no, I'm just going to be like, that's right. Anytime somebody come up to you, this is what you do. We don't do that. We have to problem solve, talk about boundaries, use your words, conflict resolution.
I will say this. I think the word that you used was 100% justified. I won't say 100% justified, right? Because I have bumped into this topic a million times at schools,
right?
Tit
for tat moment, I say yes.
Yeah, because for my kids, I teach them, somebody hits you, you hit them back. No exceptions, right? Now, if somebody rip up your paper, you got to find a way to navigate that situation, but you don't let nobody disrespect you. But I don't expect that you're going to be punching people just because they rip up papers or something like that, right? But if somebody hits you, you hit them back. And I do understand that goes contrary to how an educator would teach. And I completely understand that because you can't have kids just everybody hitting each other back and all of a sudden it's just a battle royal and you can't have a battle royal, right? So it don't make no sense. But, and I've been in these, like my oldest daughter again, and she is again. She got hit and she hit the kid back. And when I showed up, I was like, good job. And the teacher was like, hey, that's not a good job. And I'm like, agree to disagree. Because I see exactly what you're saying. But as a father, you're going to have to see exactly what I'm saying. Because I cannot allow her to go through this world just getting hit. Because it ain't going to happen.
Because if we pull back some as the educator, it's my job to prevent that.
Yep.
So if
for sure.
So if my radar is off and it happens, I have to own the fact as an educator that whether it was out of my control, in my control, whatever it is, I have to own it. If it happened in my presence, I have to own that. Yes. And also as a dad and a parent, I hear you, and so I will take responsibility for that as an educator. But also, you do need to learn.
And we operate in different circles.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like my circle is safety and security in this classroom.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Mine is to give you the game so that you know how to defend yourself.
Yeah.
So
precisely.
Yeah. So are they?
And both can be right at the same time.
Yes,
exactly.
Yes.
Yeah. Because they're revolving around each other.
Yeah.
So is Michael B. Jordan wrong for portraying that in the movie?
No, I thought it was an accurate portrayal of what typically, especially a person like him who's used his fist to solve his problems.
And with a disability.
Yes. Yeah, good point.
Yeah, with having a disability, you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
That is, and going a little bit further with the conversation they was having off to the side with the teacher, I assume that was the teacher, whatever. Like, you know, I need a teacher, you know, she shouldn't be treated like this.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And then she needs to know how to defend herself. You know what I'm saying? So that was good. That was a good display of.
I went to see that with my wife, and it spoke directly to us. Like we was all, especially my wife, she was all up in it. Cause it's like, man, we got a fourth grader and a kindergarten right now, and it's like, I feel this.
I love it.
I'm saying the same thing. We had a conversation in the barbershop the other day talking about, you know, these kids need to learn how to. Ain't no more big mama. They need whoopings and stuff like that. I'm like, yeah, okay, that's being reactive. We need to be proactive. And be at the kitchen table and
I agree.
Know
because I don't agree with that sentiment. I do.
Exactly. You know what I'm saying? We need to be at that point where the melee happened at the basketball game, but I can go up there and know that Emery is coming with me because she's not a part of that because I already told her at the kitchen table what she should be doing. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. That's what we need. But at the same time, at the kitchen table, Tony, don't be no punk.
Exactly.
You better hit him back. You know what I'm saying? Because you don't want to be nobody's punching bag, pun intended. You know what I'm saying? And make it where they know that, you know, they're not going to try you. Right. But being an educator and a dad at the same time, you know.
But that's one of the things that I loved about this movie. How it spoke. It spoke to that everything you're talking about. That's pertinent to our community right now.
Yeah.
Especially this generation. I mean, I thought the way that they wrote this movie, it's speaking to us.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Like I want to see it again. I will see it again. But it made sense. Like that's what I can appreciate about Creed 3. where it is. I mean, I know it's the latest movie, but it just makes sense. It doesn't feel like it's separate. It doesn't even though Stallone wasn't in it, it doesn't feel separate from the legacy it comes from.
What do you think about his comments though?
Who's Stallone?
Yeah. He said it was too dark. And he didn't like the dark turn that it took, and that's not how he envisioned it.
And what you say, and it makes sense, because what you say, that
he mean too dark.
No,
I don't think he meant that.
I don't think he meant that.
I think the introduction of the dark past of Adonis and really bringing that out, because it wasn't there in Creed 1 and 2.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't there. Like we knew he was a child from an extramarital affair, and that was it.
Yeah.
And then, he was troubled. Like, that was kind of just sprinkled in there. But it was more about Rocky mentoring Adonis.
Well, he did say he's willing to come back.
If he gets rid of
He said he's willing to come back only if it's for Michael B. Jordan. He don't want to come back for Irving Winkler.
Yeah, the guy who owns the...
He sold it to him when he wrote the first movie. He had to sell it because he didn't have no money.
Right.
So it's
and they will not come up off of it.
No. And I wrote down some numbers. So Rocky 1 through 6, including Balboa, over $1.2 billion worldwide today. Like, that's what it's grossed in the box office. Creed, so far, there's 3 of them, and Creed 3 just came out, $612 million worldwide. So it's slated to surpass.
Yeah. So that's a great segue into my question I had. I was just holding my son about is, does Michael B. Jordan or Adonis Creed have 3 more movies in them?
Depends on how they play him. I mean, I think the story can.
I think they do. He's gonna be Rocky though.
So okay, tell me what that looks like. Creed 4, what does he look like?
He's gonna have to be old. I mean, he's already 3 years retired. Yeah. He's gonna have to be.
What role is he playing?
They gotta find it. It depends on what he's gonna have to be, a trainer or some kind of promoter.
Okay.
They gotta find a new person to come up and be the fighter.
So it's Creed, but it's not.
It's gonna be.
I think he's gonna have to fight 2 more movies.
Probably, just like Rocky 4 and Rocky 5, right?
Yeah.
This is like Rocky 4 and Rocky 5, where Rocky was too old, but he still had to fight.
Yeah. I think he's going.
So is Dame a staple in the movies moving forward, or he's just?
I don't think so.
You think he's one and done?
It's hard to say one and done. Dame is my favorite character in the entire Rocky series.
Really?
Oh my God! Come
absolutely.
on, man! Didn't drink the Kool-Aid, really?
Love it.
You know, it's been 20 seconds into.
Well, you gotta remember, my second favorite is Clubber Lang. So they got another one.
Well,
There was only one movie.
There we go.
These are the people. We're not even talking about these movies this importantly if you don't have those strong people who push the movie forward, push this whole story forward, right? You need a Clubber Lang. You can't just have Apollo Creed, and then Drago. You need a Clubber Lang.
Yeah, you do.
For sure. So let me ask you this: Did he do a good job as an antagonist? Like, was it a good job? Did he portray him?
Who, Diamond Dame?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought he was perfect.
Or did he just do a good job with being that bully, or that, you know what I'm saying?
No, I thought it was perfect.
I think it was more complicated than.
When he got out of prison, the like when they went out to that lunch, they were sitting in the booth, the mannerisms, he had it down. Like the humility that he knew he had to wear because of where he was coming from, but knowing that that's not at all what he's there for.
He had a plan.
But he has to be the wolf in sheep's clothing real quick.
Boy, you just changed my mind. Because I was about to say, like, he didn't really do that good job because he just kind of like goofy, kind of like.
But it was
he had to be. He was the wolf in sheep's clothing. He had to be.
Yeah, golly.
And I mean, anybody who know anybody that come out the pen, that's usually what they are, man. They got this humility because they have no choice. They need you to come pick them up. They need you to go help them get clothes. They need you to help them set them up with a new life.
Yeah.
But they gon'
So I got it.
They gonna rob you out. They gonna steal from your purse. You know what I mean? Like you never know what's gonna happen because of how hard their life is. They coming out to get it.
Yeah. Wow. Whew. We could literally. This could be a 3-part series.
For sure.
And don't tempt me because it might be. Because there's so many other aspects. There's behind the scenes. There's all these things that we could talk about. I wrote down 3 themes that just were through the entire series. And feel free to add. This is just my thoughts. I put the heart wins because Rocky won, and even Adonis won with their heart.
Always.
And so the heart
Adonis
wins.
is absolutely the new Rocky.
Yeah.
He wins that way.
Dedicated.
He got a little bit of Apollo in him, though.
Yeah.
That ego is up in there.
It is. Oh, boy, it is.
And that mustache.
Shut up.
Especially in 3. You could tell he was working. He was working on it. It worked, though, because he definitely looked way more like him than he did in other movies.
He put some aging in it?
No,
I'm messing with that.
He definitely looked more mature and more.
Yeah, I agree.
He owned the older statesman.
Yeah.
Yeah, that he had grown up. Yep. I said a dedicated life partner makes a difference.
Yeah.
And I wrote this as a question, as a theme: pride, and what role did it play? And that could be for any number of characters. When your pride is at stake, when you have this, where you feel you should be, either you're there or you're not, or you were there and now you're not. What role does that play?
Did pride prevent him from throwing the towel in?
Yeah. Well, no. Well, it did secondarily because he told him don't throw it in for no reason. Yeah.
Right. So,
but then think about on the flip when Ivan Drago had to throw the towel in for his son.
Yeah.
Because he recognized he was on the other side of it when the towel wasn't thrown in and he killed Apollo. So now he's watching his son getting a stew beat out of him, and he won't lay down because of how he's been trained, similar to him. It's been ingrained in him. And so he's like, if I don't do this, and now I'm going to watch what I did to somebody else.
And I don't think he thought his son would die, but I do think it was love. I think he showed his son that he loved him for the first real time.
Okay.
Right? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
But I think that pride, through this entire thing, played a role in a lot of different characters' lives.
One other thing that I think has been common through all 9 of the movies, the city of Philadelphia is a character. Philly is always there.
But except for 3, they in LA, right?
They're in LA, but you get to see his departure, right? Like he's trying to replace Philly, like running up the LA hills instead of running up the Philly steps.
Yeah, I told
wow.
Yeah, it's all.
Yeah, you didn't get that?
I did not.
Yeah.
Hence, I'm going to go watch it again.
Yeah, I definitely got that trope. Like it was going up the hill, and that is like making it full circle and stuff like that.
Yeah, and that was to make Hollywood character because when he first in Creed 1, that was his name was Hollywood. So that was to finally start making his legacy of it.
Man, put it together. Shoot. So I think on that note,
next time.
I know. But this.
Oh, and also the trunks. Did y'all peep the trunks?
Which part?
Adonis Creed through the movies. Remember in the first one, he wouldn't take the Creed name. He was Johnson. And then when he finally fought, he was Creed Johnson. Still had the Johnson on the back. And in this movie, the Johnson was finally gone. It was just Creed.
So he is coming into his identity. Whoa. Okay, I think we got to drop the mic at some point because we can literally spiral into so many other.
Because if you go back and watch Creed 1, his first fight, he's Hollywood Adonis Johnson.
Oh, wow.
That's his name.
I didn't even.
But see, that's a great thing of being, I guess, mature or older within a trilogy. So now we can appreciate.
Yeah.
Because when I was little, I would miss everything.
Yes.
We missed it all.
Yes.
All the RoboCops. I don't know what he got shot up and got a new arm.
And it's so funny because back then I thought I was like all into these movies, but you go back and watch it, you're like, man, I didn't pick nothing up.
But that's great though because you get it. The goal or the intention is to rewatch it and pull because what we get from it now in our 40s is not what we got even in our 30s, and we definitely didn't get it in our 20s.
And this is the last point I'm gonna make to when you're saying that your mom pulled the VHS out. A lot of these movies live through rewatching them through the VHS.
Yeah.
Same thing with Scarface. Scarface bombed at the box
Yes,
office.
it did.
But then when people was watching it at home, like, man, you better come.
Right.
You know, Scarface came out early, so they even had it on laser disc.
Exactly. So these movies were like
Scarface is another
staple.
bad movie, by the way, but we talk about that.
That's the next one. Bad movies. Go ahead.
Oh,
We just
Godfather's
made
not a
a
good
new
movie.
podcast right here. Bad movies.
Ooh,
Continue.
bad.
Godfather, Scarface, put them all on.
Right, but rap music ruined Scarface for me because I saw it later on in life. But yeah, just looking at the VHS or the whole VHS availability of it.
Okay.
It made it where it was constantly, you know what I'm saying, in the conversation or constantly a part of our childhood because it was so accessible like that.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Excellent. So this will live on. Now we have done our due diligence. I hope that you were able to express everything you needed to. This
felt good to get in the Rocky universe.
Oh, it was totally
good to be a guest.
People listening can't see this, but I'm rocking my Rocky hat, the black Scully.
Yes.
In honor of my man Rock.
Amen to that. Amen to that. And before we gonna outro this with we're gonna do a little dun, 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 dun,
Hey, don't get hit with the licensing fees.
And we gonna stop.
Thanks for bringing us back to reality.
On that note, I'm so appreciative. I thank you both for coming on and just joining me in this space.
Thank you for having us.
Man,
I am
truly
so
a pleasure.
Yes, I'm so just I don't have a word for it right now. Just to be walking in this and having an idea, and when people say yes to me, I am truly humbled to ask the question and for people to say yes. So thank you, Jay, for saying yes. Mike, thank you for saying yes and
Can't
really
wait for
just
the next
coming.
I know,
and
man.
unpacking
It's boy.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to. I said I'm gonna run out of friends and family pretty soon, so we're gonna have to just keep coming together and talking about things and just really just coming together and just talking. This is really good. This is literally epic. Like this is what epic is supposed to be.
Right.
And so I'm grateful. Thank you all for listening again. You can reach out to me on social media. Facebook, Epic Experiences, Sinitra Skillern. My other Facebook page. I have an Instagram that is One Epic Experiences or CC Skills. If you have a epic experience you want to share with me, hit me up at oneepicexperience@gmail.com. Until the next time, it's been epic. Thank y'all. Woo!